Freestyle state can feel like a finish line, but for a lot of girls, it's really a fork in the road. Some wrestlers are asking, okay, I qualified, now what do I do? Others are asking, I did not qualify, so what's now? Is my freestyle season basically over? And a lot of families are just trying to understand the calendar, the weigh-ins, the travel, the money, and what opportunities are still on the table. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Illinois Girls Wrestling Podcast, the show that strives to create a supportive community for Illinois girls wrestling through storytelling and expert insights so that athletes, coaches, and families feel connected and empowered. Can this podcast be helpful for boys? Absolutely. We share a lot of great wrestling information for everyone, but we also want to give girls and their families a space they can call their own. So today's episode is all about next steps after Freestyle State, and I am really glad to be joined today by Liz Short. Welcome to the studio, Liz.
Thank you very much for having me.
Liz, I'm sure many girls know you from interacting with the girls wrestling in the state of Illinois, but for those that don't, would you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, I currently am the head coach at D230 Girls Wrestling out of Andrew High School for next year because of the new IHSA proposal. We're going to split and be Andrew High School. Before that, I coached at Joliet Township High School. And then I also coach for Team USA. I coached the past 3 age group Can-Am teams. And then I competed in high school, college, and internationally as well.
Awesome. That's a lot of wrestling. That's many years of wrestling. How many?
Yes. Lots of wrestling.
Okay. So I wanted to do this episode because the weekend after Freestyle State can be emotional in both directions. Some girls are excited and maybe a little bit overwhelmed because now Fargo is real, and the other girls most likely are disappointed and wondering what they even trained for next. So, Liz, when Freestyle State ends, what do you think girls and families most need to hear right away?
Right away, I think it's emotional for girls because everyone kind of is walking away with a different story, I guess. Some girls hit their goals, some fell short, and some realized that their goal wasn't kind of the right fit for them. That's why it's emotional for everybody. But it's just the next steps, I think, are just, it's not really the definition. It just kind of gives you information on kind of what's going to happen next. It's not the finish line. It's just information. And there's still stuff moving forward ahead.
Okay, great. I love that because I think sometimes when people hear qualify or did not qualify, they take it into a judgment that talks about themselves and wrestling. And if, they feel that that would define their whole season.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's start with the girls who did qualify. So correct me if I'm wrong. This is I have the basic information here. For Illinois girls, the posted qualifying language says that the girls freestyle state top 3 in each USA Junior and 16U weight class qualify for the girls freestyle national competitions. And for Fargo,
correct.
Okay. And for Fargo itself, athletes do not register as individuals as they do for the open event. They have to go through their state, and the state teams are generally limited to 4 wrestlers per age, style, and weight, while automatic qualifiers do not count against the roster limit.
Correct.
Okay. I think we're going to have to unpack that a little bit because I think for new people, this might be a little bit there is a lot of unknown words. So let's break this down. USA Junior versus 16U.
Correct. So it goes by birth year. So 16U and juniors. So that just defines your birth year. and what age group that you can go to.
And 16U is not 16 and below, it's 15 and below, correct?
Correct, depending on your birth year. I think some people have different birthdays,
Okay.
so
Mm-hmm.
where the competition lands.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
And we've got a freestyle. So in freestyle state, top 3 after they qualify.
Correct. So top 3 at Freestyle State. And if you qualify at state, that's the weight that you're locked into going.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take top 3 Freestyle State, 16U, 105, that's what you'll have to go for Fargo.
Okay. Now, the state has 4 spots, I know, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. Now, who are the automatic qualifiers that don't count against the roster limit?
The automatic qualifiers include, so if you're a returning All-American from last year from Fargo, and then we have the Women's Nationals, which is coming up in Spokane, if you're an All-American there. And then we have top 6 at the regionals. So ones that we usually head to are Northern Plains, which is in Wisconsin Dells, Central Plains, which used to be in Fort Wayne, now it's in Kentucky. And then there's some other regionals spread throughout the country, and those are top 6.
Okay.
And
So
you could go whatever weight you're not locked into a weight with those.
okay. So for somebody who qualifies for freestyle state, they might still benefit from going to the regionals, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, great. And it sounds like now we don't just have 4 people per weight class. Now we'll have a lot more. So how big do you think the team will be this year, or maybe what it was last year?
So it depends how many people we can get to go to those regionals. Any All-Americans at Spokane, those don't count against our total. And then we also have our second chance qualifier, which will be the end of May, and that would be our 4th spot through the state.
Okay.
So if someone goes to one of those regionals and takes top 6, but they place top 3 at Freestyle State, it opens up one of those spots for us.
So somebody who potentially came 4th now has the possibility of being bumped up and qualifying.
Correct.
Okay. So if a girl qualifies, what are the very first practical next steps she and her family should take in the first couple of days?
I think with the first couple of days, it's just taking maybe like 24 to 48 hours, reset, maybe watch some film, identify any areas where you might need to work on. Think about your training schedule from until Fargo. Where are you going to train? A lot of people, I feel that after you qualify, that's kind of the goal, and then they'll stop training. Like, my goal is achieved just to make it to Fargo. And just, I think, staying steady with your training. Nothing magical needs to change overnight, and you don't want to burn out as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think there is also a lot of things that have to come into place after you qualify. When do you actually start getting communication? I think
Once you qualify, so at Freestyle State, they'll give the top 3 qualifiers. Team Illinois will give them a sheet about the process of Fargo, about fundraising. They'll take your information and give you information there. So at the event.
okay, yes. And till this year, it's also the competition is a lot earlier. So you still have May, June, July. You practically have about 3 months.
You have a lot of time, yeah. It's earlier this year, and I think that has been stressing some people out. But next year, when IHSA State moves 2 weeks back, we'll have those 2 weeks to kind of acclimate more. So it'll be a little bit easier. This year's a fast transition.
Okay. Yes. From the athlete side, what should the next few weeks look like mentally and physically? You said nothing really should change. Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to burn yourself out, but you still want to stay hungry. You want to keep training, kind of sharpening what you already do well. So it could go through like looking at your competition film, reflecting maybe what positions that you need work on, looking at your recovery, looking at your nutrition, all of those things come into play.
Okay. Okay. That's important. Now let's talk about Fargo 2026 and what is different. And I know for some people, they have gone there several times, so they might not know that there are changes. And for new people, I think they need to know just clean information.
Yes. So Fargo is the biggest wrestling tournament in the world. It is humongous. It's like the wrestling mecca. It's huge. So this year with the girls, the schedule is changing. Typically, the girls would go first. So we would start off, we'd have our competition, and then the boys would come in. This year, we are at the end. So our competition starts on Thursday, July 16th, will be weigh-ins, and then it'll go through Saturday.
That's quite a change. That's now so we got pushed a bit, like almost a week back. Is that what it is?
Yeah, and it's going to be 3 days. Yeah, so the boys will compete first. Yeah, probably like a week.
The way how Illinois girls team works, you don't just hop on a plane and go to Fargo.
Correct. We drive actually. It's a fun road trip.
Well, and you meet before that too. You're not really, you're not just hopping on the bus to go to Fargo either.
Correct. Yeah.
There is a camp. Would you tell us more a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we have a training camp. Typically, it's been at Aurora University. I haven't heard anything differently about it being somewhere else. But we have camp and we'll go through kind of getting acclimated to everything. We'll have some conditioning training. We'll do some mental workshops in the evening sometimes about what competition will look like, and then getting to know our athletes and getting to know your teammates as well.
And it's a huge team, so you'll have a lot of people to meet.
It is. It is huge. Like we used to just take everybody. So we used to take just all the girls that would show up, we would take, and now it's grown so much. We've outgrown like different places. We were at Augustana and we outgrew there. And then now we're at Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
Getting pretty big for Aurora too.
Okay, and so just to give somebody a rough idea, if you have to be in Fargo, North Dakota on July 16th. And is it a day on a bus?
It's a day, so we usually leave in the morning, and the girls will get like a box lunch. We have it's not like a yellow school bus; it's a nice coach bus.
Yay!
And so you have room to like stretch your legs out. Last year we had DVD players.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the coaches bought some DVDs at a gas station, and I think it was Men in Black. It was their first time seeing Men in Black, so
fun.
We watched that, and then
so
traveled to Fargo, and then we'll work out.
Awesome. Oh, and if you're checking in 3 days before that, so when should family be expecting to check in for the camp?
Typically, we would have camp on that Monday after 4th of July. I don't know what the schedule is this year with the new schedule. So if weigh-ins are on Thursday, maybe I'm thinking camp will be on that Monday.
Okay, so ultimately about a week after 4th of July, clear your schedule.
So let's see. We have weigh-ins the 16th. Camp might be the 11th or 12th. I would think maybe the 12th. We'll have camp for a couple days and then drive out to Fargo.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's good, just as long as we have some vague understanding of when not to schedule vacations.
Yes. Typically, we always would right after 4th of July, like the 5th or the 6th, that's when we'd have camp. So now we're a week ahead. So
okay. Now, I also heard that there is a different procedure on the weigh-ins. Is that true?
there is a 2-day weigh-in now. So we'll have weigh-ins on the 16th. We'll wrestle Thursday. Everyone will wrestle Thursday, wrestle Friday, and then we'll have weigh-ins on Saturday.
And there is a 2-pound allowance? Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay.
For the second weigh-in.
Okay, so for the second weigh-in, we get a 2-pound allowance. And that's pretty much the only difference on the weigh-ins.
The extra weigh-in. Yeah.
The extra weigh-in, which, yeah. So what advice would you have for managing that part without, without being miserable the entire trip, knowing that you need to stay on weight, and how not to blow weight by, for the second weigh-in?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people are so focused on their weight. You don't want to like win the scale and lose the tournament. So the goal is to feel strong and not just to make weight. So being intentional with what you put into your body. So fueling smart, hydrating yourself so you don't have to spend the whole time cutting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel terrible on the second day, the weight cut was probably too expensive. So just be mindful of what you're putting in your body, be mindful of your weight class, I guess, and be smart.
And maybe by the time we publish this episode, this will be right after Freestyle State. So if you locked in into your weight, you're already done. So but for those of you who are still considering, you should be mindful of which weight you want to go with.
Correct. For Freestyle State, it locks you into that weight class for Fargo. So that's kind of what you'll have to be. That's why those qualifiers are so nice, because you can move around weights when you go to those regionals and stuff.
I think we have another thing that we want to make sure everyone understands. Fargo for girls is women's freestyle and not Greco. There are no girls Greco tournament at Fargo.
There is no girls Greco at Fargo, but there is Greco for our National Duel tournament.
Let's talk about just all things duels, and then we'll circle back and we'll talk about opportunities for other girls who did not necessarily qualify for Fargo. 2026, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, this is information I have. The 2026 Women's National Duels are scheduled for June 16 through June 20th in Westfield, Indiana, and the events include 14U, 16U, and USA Junior girls in both freestyle and Greco.
Correct.
So where do the duels fit into the summer picture?
Duels, I love national duels. They are one of my most favorite competitions, just because of the team kind of unity that we have, and the actual more of a team instead of our Illinois delegation that we bring to Fargo of 150 girls. So national duels, Illinois puts together their best 14U, 16U, and junior team to duel against all the other state delegations. It's a huge event. It's in this big field house in Indiana where there's a ton of mats, and everyone will be wrestling kind of at the same time. So it is kind of chaotic, but you stay with your team and go against other states.
What is different for us this year when it comes to
this year? We are doing Greco. We haven't done Greco yet. Illinois hasn't. They've had it at National Duels for the past few years. I want to say maybe 2 years. It's newer to Illinois. Some of the other states, like California, has been doing Greco for girls for the past few years at their state championships. But for this year, Illinois is going to try out the Greco duels. And I think it's a great time because Greco is still growing. It's still new for girls. So it's not like Illinois is jumping into this Greco scene that's already well established and well developed. So all the girls, some of the feedback I get is like, I don't know Greco. I don't know the rules, and not a lot of girls do.
So
perfect time to try it.
Okay, so what would your answer be? As I'm looking around, I do not see many clubs offering Greco. So for somebody who is a girl potentially already goes to the club that only offers freestyle, what would you tell that girl?
We are trying to get more opportunities. I know I'm trying to bring in some Greco people around. I know Derek Noble does Greco at Toss 'em Up.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing some Greco stuff. So Pete Kowalczyk, he's been doing Greco every Tuesday night out in Tinley Park
Mm-hmm.
at Tinley Park Bulldogs. I know at Aurora University Spar, they've been doing Greco.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe your club doesn't offer Greco, but you can still maybe during practice say, okay, I'm only going to use upper body attacks.
Okay.
Maybe I'm going to hand fight today. Maybe I'm going to work on my throws today. So maybe it's not a specific Greco practice, but that doesn't mean you can, you could still work on Greco.
And for those girls who are maybe on the fence, maybe they only really thought of themselves as a freestyle wrestlers. What does Greco add to their development?
I think Greco adds like wrestling from ties. And I think a lot of girls struggle with setups, with wrestling, using hand fighting, and some of those toughness in like ties and upper body attacks. So I think it adds some body awareness. It builds position that a lot of girls I think are uncomfortable in, and that becomes your advantage.
Okay. I love that because
it doesn't have to look like men's Greco.
Okay.
It doesn't have to look like these high amplitude throws. It could be front headlocks. It could be 2-on-1s. It could be drags. It could just be utilizing things that you already know.
It's not suplex.
It doesn't have to be a suplex. Yeah.
It
doesn't have to be. I love a good suplex, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. So even if Greco is not your thing, it can still sharpen position. It would help the confidence, body awareness, and creativity. And on the long run, it will help you if you're a high school wrestler, middle school wrestler. It will help you in your folk style going back.
Yes. Like you can gain skills from each different discipline. Like we see girls coming from judo. They have some really like awesome foot sweeps and some skills that kind of are a little bit different in folk style, but they're still using them in folk style. And the same with Greco or freestyle or jujitsu. And you could use some skills that you learn in all those different disciplines.
Well, here's another question. For somebody who started wrestling during the season and says now, hey, I don't want to learn another style. I just want to stick with folk style. Is that is that a mistake?
I think any wrestling is good wrestling, but freestyle, if you want to continue into college, that's going to be the style that you need to get comfortable with. So I think it's advantageous to kind of get started earlier. But if you're not comfortable with that, I think any wrestling is good wrestling. You can benefit from it.
It might be a little bit more difficult to find a club in off-season that works on folk style.
I know a lot of kids clubs just do folk style.
They do
in the off-season.
Okay, that's
little kids, little kids, yeah.
Little kids. Okay, well, that's definitely interesting. And again, to make it very clear, there is no folk style wrestling in college for girls.
Correct.
If you are a high school wrestler who is looking to get recruited, is looking to wrestle in college, you will have to wrestle freestyle. And especially if you are building yourself as a college wrestler now ahead of time, I think the coaches will be more impressed in your success in the off-season.
Yes. And it's okay to fail. Like you almost have to be bad before you can get better.
Yeah, that's true.
How to endure the lumps, the bumps, the bruises, the hard stuff before you can reap the benefits.
Okay.
And it's okay. It's okay to be bad at something. You're not going to be great at everything. Like most girls who I see their first freestyle match, a lot of times they're getting it. They get laced in 30 seconds and the match is over.
Oh, yeah.
But they have to learn that, like the defense, right? Like the differences in Folkstyle and freestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then after that, you learn and it doesn't happen again,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Well, let's talk directly now to the girls who did not qualify because this part matters just as much. If you did not qualify for state, that does not mean that your spring and summer is over. It does not mean that you failed. It does not mean that you are not a serious wrestler. As Liz just said, you have to be bad before you become good. And it also means that your next step may look a little bit different. So, Liz,
Yeah.
what do you think first these girls need to hear?
I think so. I think more like your response to this matters more than the results of you not qualifying. So your response of, okay, either I'm going to get better, I'm going to go find some competition, I'm going to train, or I'm going to sit around and feel sorry for myself and not do anything. So I think your response matters more than anything. And a lot of times we put so much pressure on Fargo, on qualifying and this defining your wrestling for the summer, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be. Missing Fargo doesn't mean you're not capable. It just means you're not ready or you're not done yet. And there's always more opportunities moving forward. So a lot of times, like, girls are so focused on qualifying that they get to Fargo and maybe they're not ready for that because it is a huge experience. It's a huge undertaking and it's expensive. And investing all this money for this tournament that maybe you're not ready for, where maybe you put that time and energy into something else that would focus on building you as a wrestler moving forward.
Absolutely.
Might be more advantageous, like there's a lot of like camps and clinics and where you could get more experience with people around your same level and development.
Mm-hmm. And I know usually there is about the same time as Fargo. Well, maybe not this year. There is also a girls' duel that takes place in Ohio. And there is a lot of teams that come in there. So maybe if you are not going to Fargo, maybe that would be your alternative.
Yeah, like some of those dual camps, dual tournaments offer a lot of experience and development, and you could get just as much out of that than Fargo and camp.
So there are some options.
And then focus on Fargo for next year, right?
Okay, so now we're going to talk specifically to those that did not qualify at the Illinois Freestyle State.
Okay.
Yes. So what are, again, our options?
So if you didn't qualify for Freestyle State, and again, Freestyle State is pretty early this year, so it's in April, and you do want to qualify, so you're not behind. There's a lot of more opportunities. You're kind of early in your process, I guess. So there's a lot of regionals that give you the opportunity to qualify. There's second chance. So there's more opportunities to qualify if that is something that you're looking to do.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about second chance. We mentioned it a few times before, and we mentioned that Illinois gets four spots per weight.
Mm-hmm.
So the top three come from the Freestyle State. Where does the last spot come from?
The last remaining golden ticket comes from Second Chance Tournament, which is held at Sycamore High School, or it has been, and that is the last weekend of May.
That means there is only one qualifier comes from that.
There's only one. The winner gets the spot. Okay. So you have to win Second Chance to get that extra spot for Fargo.
And unlike with all the other competitions, if you already qualified for this national team, you cannot compete in the Second Chance.
Correct. Yep.
So you are only because if you're going to regionals, you might be competing against people that have already placed.
Right.
Yes. If you're going to Sycamore, you're only competing against other people who want to get that last spot.
Right. It also, I have seen those spots also. So if someone is injured, maybe you sustain an injury at Freestyle State, or it could be at IHSA, you were injured and you weren't able to come back and go to your full freestyle season, like you might be ready to go for second chance.
Mhm.
So that could also be an opportunity for someone who wasn't physically able to go to any of those things as well.
So, and for families that are looking for the regional competitions, they're looking for more chances to make the competitions. There are a total of 6 competitions that take place around the country. You realistically
Correct.
probably can make 2 of them. May 7th is Western Regionals. It's in Farmington, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
May 8th, you would either be at Northeast Regionals in Pennsylvania, or I think we're better off going to Northern Plains and Wisconsin Dells. I think
Mm-hmm.
that
It's
would be
closer.
that would be the closest to anybody who lives in Illinois. And
Yeah. And you could go to a water park after.
yes, absolutely. Make a trip out of it. Enjoy yourself.
I remember I took a group to Northern Plains and we're driving through Wisconsin Dells. They're like, "Do we really have to go and wrestle?" They were like looking out the windows at like
It's like it's
water park
the
stuff.
water park capital of the world. Why can't we go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, on May 15th, you have 3 options, and there is one clear winner. You could be either at Southern Plains in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, or Southeast Regionals in Duluth, Georgia, or Central Regionals in Louisville, Kentucky. So,
Yes.
so I'm going to say that Kentucky probably, again, would be the closer choice to most of us.
Mhm.
You have a lot of different options.
Yeah, and it's top 6 for those.
So the bad news is you are competing against girls from other states. If you're going to Northern Plains, you will compete against Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, they all go to Northern Plains. Indiana
Northern
too.
Plains is a great tournament. You'll get some great matches regardless of the outcome. You're going to get some great experience and really tough matches.
And the funny thing is, you actually never know. You cannot predict who will be in your bracket. So the best you can do is
Right.
just go and wrestle.
Yeah, you never know. So always be prepared to wrestle your best.
Okay, and again, if Fargo does not happen, there is real value in building freestyle and Greco skills, competing in high-level rooms, setting yourself up for next year instead of being emotionally checked out. Just because you did not get this one thing you thought you wanted to get to.
Yeah, so Fargo doesn't have to define your experience. If you weren't able to qualify this year, there's always next year.
Mm-hmm.
Any experience that you get is great and can help in your development. Yeah.
So,
And it just kind of makes you look at like, what's my next step? What do I need? Do I need more matches? Do I need more technique? It could be maybe I need more recovery. Maybe I'm at the wrong weight class. I'm cutting a lot of weight, like take a look and see what you need. Be intentional. So I think that's something that's changed in recent years with training. It used to be like, all right, we're going to make sure everyone's super tough. We're just going to train, 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 but just being more intentional and making and seeing what you need for your development.
okay, so how do you feel an athlete can decide that? I know it's difficult to know when, oh, I think I'm tired, I should walk through it, because getting somewhere versus, I'm about to get burned out. Like, when do you really feel like you have to change your path?
And again, it's not always about the results. So we can't control the outcome of matches. I think a lot of people just get focused on the outcome. But just like, am I developing new skills? How do I feel before my matches? Am I actually enjoying the sport? So I think that's part of it too, is, am I enjoying this journey? Because it is about the journey. And you don't have to wrestle. Like, it's not a life requirement. It's not of every U.S. citizen to wrestle. Remember, you're choosing to do this. That's what I tell my high school girls. Like,
Mhm.
it is not a requirement for graduation. You're choosing to do this. So, how are you going to make the best to make it the most enjoyable for you? Because it's your experience.
And if you are miserable, that means your partner is miserable. Your coach will not be happy with you. And your parents probably won't be happy with you. So it's your decision. Do you want to be here or you might want to do something else?
Yeah, yeah, it's
In,
your experience.
and even if you walk away from it right now, it doesn't have to be forever.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing is too, like, do you want to be even the littlest amount of work will help for next season. But we keep wanting to get these full-time results with part-time effort. So figure out like what you want out of this. What are your goals? What do you want? And work backwards.
Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about parents. What should parents do after Freestyle State, whether their daughter qualifies or not?
I think just to be like consistent, be steady, be supportive. I think as a parent, you want to be the calm, not the pressure,
Mhm.
and kind of let the athlete lead and be supportive.
And maybe what should we avoid saying to our kids?
Maybe like you should have done this or comparing them to other wrestlers. Maybe just letting them lead and kind of
Mhm.
guiding them from there.
Sometimes the most helpful things that parents can do is not to rush to fix the emotion for somebody who is not necessarily where they thought they would be. And yeah,
Hmm.
be the steady force, be that, rock that they can go back to whenever they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. Like the whole experience is a lot. And when you're putting so much of yourself in something and your identity into being on Team Illinois, being on Fargo, like when that doesn't happen, that's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And
just being there and supporting them through it, I
yeah.
think is important.
Yeah, I think that's important. Liz, thank you so much. I feel like this was so helpful. Thank you for helping break this whole, process down in a way that hopefully makes sense and gives like clear actionable steps for the families and
Yes.
yes, and hopefully makes it a little bit less overwhelming.
Spring is my very favorite because we all get to come together for Team Illinois.
Mhm.
I get to coach the whole state. Everyone's on the same team, more or less. We're just working as Team Illinois to hopefully one day we beat Pennsylvania.
Oh my god, that would be a day.
Eh, we won Fargo a few years ago. I want to do it again. That was very much fun.
Oh my god. Okay,
So
yeah,
my goal is just to build opportunities and I will help. If you want to learn freestyle, if you want to wrestle, I will help in any way that I can. And a lot of all the Team Illinois coaches will.
awesome. Well, again, thank you much for joining us today, and we are looking forward to seeing how the Illinois team does this year in off season.
Yes, I can't wait.
If you remember nothing else from this episode, remember this. Freestyle State is not the end of the story. If you qualified, great. Now shift from excitement to preparation. If you did not qualify, know your options, understand weigh-ins, and choose your next step on purpose, whether it's Fargo, Duel, Greco, second chance opportunity, or simply using this season to build toward next year. Thank you for joining us on the Illinois Girls Wrestling Podcast. Wrestling is more than wins and losses. It's about growth, resilience, and learning who you are through the process. If this episode helped you, share it with an athlete or parent who is trying to figure out what comes next after Freestyle State. Until next time, keep cheering, keep supporting, and keep wrestling.